Episode 28. Whose Mercedes Benz is that? Jessa Fitzgerald and the others quickly arrived at the parking lot. After a glance, they saw that RG Torres had put a deep dent into a Mercedes. Jeff, who was standing behind everyone, frowned when he saw that it was Lucy's car, which he was driving while she was gone, that had been dented.
That idiot RG, he was bragging about how awesome his driving skills were when we were just eating. Now, and yet, you had to dent Lucy's car. You're a real dope.
Jeff thought. They'd banned her amongst themselves.
This big car must be at least over $150,000. This is bad. This is bad. To dent it up like this, that's at least $10,000 in damages.
If only I could drive, I definitely wouldn't have dented it up.
Who knew something like this would happen? You want to pay $10,000? Who the hell can afford it? Who can we blame? If we were a bit more careful, we wouldn't have been able to make such a big dent. RG became even more annoyed than he already was. Now he was so angry that he wanted to zip up their mouths.
This guy won the prize. I've seen this kind before in an exhibition. It's a high-quality version, imported from Germany. Over $200,000. With a dent like this, no one can get out for less than $15,000.
One of the cars driving by stopped in front of the crowd. The driver commented, gave RG a thumbs up, and then drove away.
15,000.
RG thought. RG's heart stopped. His whole body felt numb, as if it had been shocked. His legs felt weak, as if he were about to collapse. He was just an ordinary rich guy, so losing $15,000 in one shot was a huge sum of money to him. If the family knew about this, his father would be mad. The others noticed RG's mood, stopped commenting, and just sighed. He didn't want to look weak in front of the others. He decided to avoid losing face in front of his friends, that no one would look down on him, even if he might get in trouble with his father when he got home.
Why don't you drive away? Nobody has seen it. I think if the owner can drive a Mercedes, he probably won't care about your money.
Jeff said. Jeff felt funny when he saw RG's expression as if his parents had died. Honestly speaking, he didn't think much of it. More importantly, they'd been holding him up from getting out of here.
What is your pig brain thinking? Can't you see that it's surrounded by surveillance cameras? It would have been even more embarrassing if you dent someone's car up and then ran away. Don't you understand?
Jessa said with a frown.
Ha! You! I didn't expect you to be dressed so badly and have such vulgar thoughts. You would have run away if you touched someone else's car. Do you have any morals?
RG sneered and said.
Do you think I have that little money? $15,000? That's just 2 months of pocket money. What's that?
If RG had that much pocket money every 2 months, he wouldn't be so scared. But RG only had a few thousand a month. It was more like many months' worth. The others started to boast about how rich RG was, mocking Jeff for his lack of morals.
Let's go. Let's not hang out with them anymore.
Rachel Connor couldn't stand listening to the others anymore. Even before going into the restaurant, she had said that Jeff was a target for bullying. Rachel held Jeff's hand and walked away without looking at the others.
Rachel, don't go. We still need to go to karaoke and sing.
Jessa called out to Rachel.
Yeah, you and Jeff can only take the bus.
But you can drive in luxury with us.
Dean, Marshall and RG also hurriedly tried to persuade her to stay. They were all interested in Rachel, and they felt really upset as they watched her leave with Jeff.
No need. You guys go hang out. I'll go back with Jeff. I don't like taking luxury cars either. The bus is quite comfortable.
Rachel steeled her heart and didn't have any intention of going back.
What's going on?
The parking attendant said as he walked over. When he saw so many people gathered around, he became suspicious and pushed his way through the crowd. When he saw the car, he shouted angrily.
Who did this?
RG admitted that he had accidentally dented the car.
Ah, you're a talent. Such a big place to be able to dent up a car. I admire you.
The parking attendant said sarcastically.
Everyone stays here and don't leave. When the owner of the car arrives, you can pay him for the damage.
Jeff saw that the parking attendant was the one who had parked his car for him. He was afraid that the parking attendant would recognize him, so he took Rachel's hand and quietly told her to leave with him as soon as possible. He was afraid of what would come next. Instead of pulling Rachel along, yet instead attracted the parking attendant's attention.
Hey, boy, stop.
When the parking attendant saw Jeff run out of the crowd, it looks like he was the guilty one. The parking attendant had to catch him or risk losing his job. RG and the rest went quiet and watched the parking attendant chase Jeff. If Jeff had been alone, he would have just run away. However, with Rachel beside him couldn't run so fast. The parking attendant quickly caught him. The smiles on the others' faces became even more obvious. Rachel's heart sank as she felt that the others would think she was a joke.
Still running? Do you think you can escape?
Exclaimed the parking attendant. After being caught by the attendant, Jeff said,
A young man wants to run after touching someone else's car. Is that all?
When he saw Jeff's face, the parking attendant was stunned.
Sir, why? Is it you?
Most of the people who drove cars of this caliber were over 40 years old. It was the first time that a parking attendant had seen someone as young as Jeff, so he remembered Jeff's young face.
Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. I didn't want to chase you. Sir, are you leaving now? I'll drive the car over for you now.
The parking attendant said happily. As he turned around, the parking attendant saw RG and the others, so he quickly said,
Sir, they dented your car. If you want them to compensate you, then I'll tell them. If they don't, then I'll call the police.
What's going on? Did this luxury car belong to the loser, Jeff?
Thought RG and the others in confusion.
Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? This brat was just bagging out on the street in front of the shop. How could this G be his?
Asked RJ.
How could I not know after personally parking the car? Why don't you think about how you're going to compensate him?
Said the parking attendant as he looked at RJ and the others in disdain.
No need for them to compensate me. It won't cost that much to fix it.
Jeff just wanted to leave as soon as possible, so he said,
Just give me the car keys. I'll drive it myself.
Since the parking attendant had already revealed him, there was no need for Jeff to hide who he was anymore. Jeff took the car keys, got in the big G Mercedes and drove it out steadily. When the others saw him do this, their eyes widened in shock. They couldn't believe that Jeff, the nurse of the cheering squad, was the owner of the Mercedes Benz G. Jessa was like a statue. Her mind went blank and her big eyes were locked onto Jeff's body. It all felt unreal to her. Gerald and RJ were heartbroken. They looked like fools as they watched Jeff step into the car. Their minds were a mess as they wondered,
What exactly was going on with Jeff? How could he afford to drive such a good car?
Beep beep. Jeff pushed his horn twice. The group hurriedly got out of the way. Jeff stopped the car next to Rachel and rolled down the window. He looked at the stunned Rachel and said,
Get in the car. I'll drive you back.
Me?
Rachel pointed at herself and then calmed down a little. She smiled.
Sure.
With that, Rachel opened the door and climbed in. Jeff was about to drive the car out when he saw Jessa tapping on the window beside him.
What's wrong?
Jeff asked Jessa as he rolled down the window.
Jeff, I'm going back to school too. Can I get a ride too?
She asked him coyly. Now that Jessa knew Jeff was the owner of this G, this was a luxurious car worth at least $150,000. Jessa had never ridden in one before. If she could be seen riding in this luxury car, it would make the others envy her.
I think you should go in Gerald's car. Don't you guys still have to go sing?
Jeff said as he slowly raised the car window and started the engine.
Jeff, I'm not going to sing anymore. Why don't you visit me sometime?
Jessa said in a craving tone, walking after the G as Jeff slowly started rolling away. Jeff ignored her as he drove out of the parking lot, increasing the throttle, speeding up.
Jeff!
Jessa followed the G into the middle of the street, shouting like a shrew. The only response she got from him was the exhaust and dust from the surrounding cars. When passersby saw Jessa's angry expression, they all secretly guessed that Jessa had been dumped by her boyfriend.